Amazing grandmother's heartwarming story. How my dad made a life-changing decision to save me. Lily sat on the porch of their old farmhouse, staring at the sunset that glanced off the faded barn, her heart heavy. She should have been running through the fields, chasing fireflies, but ever since her mother had passed, the laughter had left her world. The air felt thick, weighted by pain, and around her, shadows of memories clung tightly of family playing games, her mother's voice humming sweetly, the smell of freshly baked pies wafting through the home. Those days felt like a lifetime ago. Buried under grief, her father, Tom, was a man worn by life's rugged demands. A veteran, a farmer, just trying to make a living on land that had been in their family for generations. Yet, as the sun dipped lower, so did his spirits. He was losing everything, caught in a battle against dwindling resources and skyrocketing medical bills for Lily's health. Each time he looked at her pale face, drowning in memories of happier days, his heart ached. He felt lost like a soldier in a war without a map. Neighbors who once cheered for Tom's hard work now threw glances filled with judgment. They didn't understand. They saw the house falling apart, the weeds choking the garden. They whispered about his downfall, misunderstanding the long hours he poured into keeping both home and hope alive. To them, he was just another man too proud or too stubborn to ask for help. But they forgot the laughter that used to spill from their home, forgotten in sorrow and silence. One evening, as Tom held a weathered photograph of his beloved wife, the weight of despair cloaked him. Just then, he heard a familiar melody. It was Charlie, their old family friend, playing his guitar by the barn. "You're not alone, Tom," Charlie called softly, strumming a note that resonated through the air like a lifeline. "We can do this together." With that, a flicker of hope sparked. Soon, the community rallied. Everyone who had once judged began pitching in. A bake sale blossomed into a lively barn dance, laughter echoing where sorrow had lingered. Each dessert brought in dollars, a small glimpse of a brighter future for Lily's health. But then the murmurs returned. Whispers arose, stretching like shadows over their hard work. Some began to wonder if Tom was taking advantage of their kindness, questioning who really deserved help and who didn't. The very hands that had once clasped his for support now felt icy on his back, and his heart twisted in knots. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tom stood at the crossroads, trapped between despair and the fierce love he held for his daughter. Could the kindness of a community outweigh the judgment he faced? He had to decide. With Lily's health on the line and their cherished farm at risk, Tom found himself wrestling with a singular question. Could love and hope truly conquer the misunderstanding slithering through the hearts of those around him? The stakes had never been higher, and in that moment of uncertainty, he braced himself for a confrontation that could change everything forever. Tom spent the night tossing and turning, visions of judgment wrapping around him like the thick fog that often cloaked the fields. Every creak of the house felt like whispers questioning his worthiness. He could almost hear them, the sharp tones of gossip slicing through the quiet night. Why isn't he trying harder? He's got help now, he should be grateful. Morning light broke through his worries, casting a golden hue over the dust particles dancing in the air. He dragged himself outside, where Lily was already at the barn, her little hands tracing drawings in the dirt. She looked up with a smile that could light the darkest corners, and in that moment, Tom's heart clenched. This was worth fighting for. Determined but weary, he walked into town. The crisp air was filled with the sound of laughter from children playing, but it felt distant to him like a dream from which he had awakened too soon. He had to find Charlie. If anyone could bring the community together again, it was him. As he approached the cafe, he found Charlie sitting at a corner table, strumming his guitar with a warm grin. Tom couldn't muster a smile in return. "Charlie, I need your help. Things are spinning out of control." Charlie paused, sensing the tremor in Tom's voice. What is going on? Everyone's talking about this dance night, it's bringing everyone together. Tom ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling inside him. They're not doing it for Lily and me. They're doing it to feel good about themselves. I overheard them, they think I'm not deserving of their help. What do I have to do to prove I'm worth saving? The guitar fell silent as Charlie leaned forward. You don't need to prove anything. Look, I know it's hard. But what if we turn this around? Let us show them that your struggle is a part of all of us. We can turn this into a celebration of community. Everyone has struggles, but this could be an opportunity for each of us to share and support. Tom considered Charlie's words. Was he really seeing a way out of this shadow? Could they turn judgment into understanding? Okay, let's do it. We'll share our stories at the dance. It's not just about Lily's health, it's about the path we've all walked to get here. Relief washed over him like the morning sun, coloring his thoughts. As they finalized plans, a sense of urgency fueled Tom's steps. He gathered the rest of the townspeople. He wanted everyone to help create an event that was about honesty and healing. They would come together, not just for him, but for each other. But as the dance approached, the whispers only grew louder, taunting him from the shadows. Why should we listen to him? What does he know of hardship? Each comment cut deeper than the last, weaving doubts throughout the community. On the night of the barn dance, candles flickered under hanging lights, laughter mingling with apprehension. People filled the barn, but uneasiness hung like a storm cloud. Tom and Charlie took the stage, hearts pounding in unison. Would they grasp the weight of their stories? Could they see beyond their judgments? As Tom stepped forward, the crowd fell silent. His heart raced, each beat echoing with fear and hope. His voice trembled as he began sharing their journey. But just as he started, a small voice from the back interrupted. Are you really okay, Mr. Tom? Will Lily be okay? It was a young girl, eyes wide with concern. Tom felt the weight of her question, a truth that could break or bond a community. What would he say? His answer held a turning point, not just for him but for everyone present. Would vulnerability lead them back to unity? The moment hung in the air, charged with possibility, setting the stage for a realization that could reshape their hearts and community forever. Would love indeed conquer judgment, or was this just another chapter of their struggle? Tom stood there, his heart pounding, caught in the gaze of those innocent eyes. Every moment seemed to stretch, the weight of expectations mingling with the fear of failure. He opened his mouth, but the words felt stuck. How could he give them reassurance when he sometimes felt so lost himself? Lily, he began, glancing at the crowd, searching for courage in Charlie's steady gaze. Lily is strong. She's battling something fierce, but together, we take each day one step at a time. He swallowed hard, the truth spilling out amidst the tension. But it's not just about her. It's about all of us. We each have our burdens, and tonight, I want to share mine. A murmur fluttered through the crowd. Doubt still lingered, but curiosity piqued. He could see nods, a few people leaning in closer, just like they did when Charlie strummed his guitar, ready to listen. When I first found out about Lily's illness, I was angry. I felt so small, like I was lost in a storm and couldn't find my way, Tom continued, the pain spilling from his heart. But that storm showed me something. It brought into focus what really matters: community, love, and support. As he spoke, he saw the reaction on faces. Some were frowning, others softened, while a few moved visibly closer. He could almost feel them edging toward a better understanding. It felt good, even if only a little. Every time I look at her, I'm reminded of hope. She's the strongest person I know, even at her age. And she has so much love in her heart. So why shouldn't I share that with all of you? The hesitation melted from Tom's voice, the honest sincerity flowing out. We can embrace each other's stories. We can be there for one another, starting tonight. Charlie stepped forward, joining him, the strum of his guitar breaking the growing silence. Each of us knows what pain feels like. Let us not hide from it but face it together, like a big family. We should all be vulnerable. It creates strength in our community. As the two joined forces, a tentative applause bubbled up from the crowd. Tom felt a flicker of warmth strike through the chill of judgment. People were starting to see the beauty of coming together, but just as a glimmer of unity emerged, a figure pushed through the throng, the mayor, his expression revealing unease. "Tom, I need to say something," he said, his voice firm but low. "People have been saying, do you really think everyone is ready to embrace this truth? Sharing wounds can expose the festering hurts that sometimes we want to keep hidden." Tom's heart sank. Would they retreat into discontent? Would fear stifle their blossoming connection? "I believe love can heal," Tom responded, simmering urgency in his tone. "If we confront our truths, we can mend." The mayor hesitated, torn between what he felt and what the community needed. As he shifted his weight, Tom noticed a few familiar faces in the audience, friends, neighbors, even those who had succumbed to whispers. They were watching intently, and slowly, the murmur rose again, one of understanding, support. Would the mayor bend to fear or rise with compassion? "Let us show that love outweighs judgment," Tom urged, glancing back at the crowd. "Let us prove that we're more than gossip and division. We're a family." With each word, he forced himself to stand tall, overcoming his insecurities. Every eye in the barn bore down on him, but he could sense the shift happening. They were starting to respond. Charlie's guitar strummed softly, a melody of hope weaving through the air. But just as the atmosphere hummed with anticipation, a loud crash echoed from the barn entrance as someone stumbled inside. At that moment, all eyes turned towards the door. Who could it be? And what did they bring with them that could change everything? The figure at the entrance was a woman, her silhouette framed by the barn's warm glow. As she stepped forward, the tension in the air shifted from unity to confusion. She stumbled slightly, catching herself against the doorframe, breathless and wide-eyed. "Grandma!" A voice cried out from the audience, recognition breaking the spell like glass. Tom's heart raced. It was Lily's grandmother, a feisty woman full of stories and laughter. But tonight, her eyes reflected fear. Something was undeniably wrong. "Tom!" she gasped, her chest heaving. "It's Lily," she asked. The collective breath of the audience drew in tightly. Whispers fluttered, anxiety spiraled as Tom forced himself to move closer to her. "What happened? What is going on?" he asked, keeping his voice calm, even though his heart raced, a wild tattoo against his ribs. "She collapsed at the park. I was there, and she just fell," Grandma stuttered, words falling like rocks. "She needs help. I tried to call an ambulance, but the signal was out. I ran as fast as I could." A wave of panic rippled through the barn. In an instant, the connection they momentarily forged with each other felt fragile, like glass on the edge of shattering. Tom rushed into action, adrenaline surging. "Charlie, grab your phone. We need to call for help. Everyone else, listen up. We have to clear the way. Make sure the ambulance can get through," he commanded, but panic clung to his throat, tainting his every word. Charlie sprang into motion, dialing with shaky hands. The crowd, sensing the urgency, quickly began parting, creating a path that felt all too surreal. Tom's mind raced. The loving, strong spirit of his daughter was wavering, and the possibility of loss filled his chest with ice. "Keep calm, everyone. We need to stay calm," Tom yelled, but his own voice trembled. He turned back towards Grandma, who had slipped into a state of quiet detention, lost in her memories of what she'd just witnessed. "Stay with me, Grandma. We're going to bring her back home." As those horrified faces turned to him, their eyes mirrored his fear. It was as if the barn, once filled with warmth and a hint of hope, had transformed into a cavern of dread. Tom ran towards the exit, each step feeling heavier than the last. He could almost feel Lily's tiny hand in his, could almost hear her laughter echoing off the walls. This couldn't be happening. Not to her. Not now. The whispers of the crowd faded as he pushed through the doors, stepping into the cool night air. "Lily!" he shouted, desperation tinging his voice. "Please, hold on." We're coming. The world dimmed, but a flicker of resolve sparked within him. They needed to fight. They had to be the family they had promised each other they could be. Moments later, the echoing sirens broke through the stillness like a beacon of hope. Just as relief began to wash over him, he turned to see the mayor striding forward, determination etched across his features. "I'll help you carry her if we need to," he declared, a fire igniting in his belly. This wasn't just Tom's fight. The community was converging, standing together like a fortress against despair. As they rushed into action towards the park, the weight of uncertainty loomed overhead like an ominous storm cloud. But Tom held on to the hope he'd spoken of, promising himself that they would not falter. What awaited them at the park? Would Lily still be there, a spark of light ready to be rekindled? And what stories would emerge from the depths of this night? As Tom sprinted towards the park, the distant sound of sirens fading into the night, he could feel his heart racing madly within his chest. Each step felt like an exhortation to move faster, fueled by the urgency of the moment and the primal instinct to protect his little girl. He could picture her, bright-eyed and full of laughter. Just hours ago, they had been sharing ice cream, her smile lighting up the chill of the evening. Now, the thought of her lying alone somewhere, vulnerable, twisted a knot of fear tightly in his stomach. The echoes of laughter were replaced by an ominous silence that surrounded him. As they reached the park, a wave of headlights spilled over the landscape, illuminating the trees and casting eerie shadows. A small crowd had gathered, faces filled with worry and concern. Tom spotted Lily's friends standing off to the side, their expressions frozen, whispers fluttering around like terrified birds. "Where is she?" he called out, scanning the area frantically, his breath coming shallow. The mayor joined him, keeping pace as they pushed through the throngs of people. "Over here." A familiar voice rang out from a group, drawing Tom's eyes to a small cluster of onlookers gathered around a park bench. Rushing forward, he felt the world slow down. There, on the bench, was Lily. Her face was pale, she appeared small and fragile, as if the life had drained out of her bright spirit. An older gentleman knelt by her side, checking for signs of life. "Stay back," he urged as Tom approached, desperate. "We need space." "No." Tom's voice surged with desperation as he bent down, trying to take in the full picture. "That's my daughter." The world around him blurred as he reached out to touch her hand. It felt cold, lifeless. Panic clawed at him as he shook her gently. "Lily. Sweetheart, please wake up." At that moment, the sirens wailed nearby, a sudden burst of urgency that promised help would arrive soon. He shoved his fear down, forcing himself to stay calm. "Tom." Grandma's voice broke through as she hurried towards him, tears glistening in her eyes. She just fell. "I want to talk to her. I have to tell her how much we love her." "Please, Tom," the gentleman said. "Let me check her vitals. It's very important." The pit in Tom's stomach deepened. This was a man who knew what he was doing, and yet, helplessness seeped into every fiber of his being. He looked over at Grandma, her hands trembling. "Don't lose hope," she whispered, her voice thick. "She's strong, Tom. Just like you." As the paramedics arrived, bustling around him with their equipment, Tom felt a flicker of determination. They weren't alone. The community that had surrounded him at the barn was now standing vigil, joining him in hope for Lily's life. "Keep breathing, honey," Tom urged lightly, holding her hand tighter. "You can do this. We're all right here with you." The paramedics began working, their voices steady and professional. "We're going to take care of her," one of them assured, but as they lifted her onto the stretcher, a terrifying thought gripped Tom. What if it was too late? What if fate had turned against them on this night filled with so much potential? Then he remembered Grandma's words. Hope was their family's strength. He stood straighter, meeting the gazes of those around him. In this moment, their collective strength mattered more than anything. As the stretcher moved toward the ambulance, Tom knew he needed to speak. "Everyone, keep praying. She's going to pull through. Lily's a fighter." The murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, but doubt clung to him, a shadow that followed close at his heels. Would they witness a miracle tonight? Or was this the start of their hardest battle yet? As the ambulance doors swung shut, he followed, heart in his throat. What would it take to save the daughter he adored? In that moment, he felt a twinge of resolve mixed with fear and uncertainty. Questions swirled like leaves in the wind. Would they discover the strength buried deep within themselves? Or would tonight change everything they knew? Inside the ambulance, the strobe lights flickered against the walls, a disorienting rhythm that matched the pounding in Tom's chest. He squeezed Lily's hand tighter, willing warmth back into her skin. The paramedics worked with precision, and though he wanted to scream out the fear tearing through him, he kept his voice low and steady. "Stay with me, sweetheart. Just hold on," he whispered, feeling tears blur his vision. With every passing second, he felt time stretching out, the hum of machines puncturing the air like a heartbeat separate from his own. "Sir, we're going to start in 4, one of the medics said. "We need to give her fluids." "Just a protocol," he added, but Tom could see the worry etched across his face. "Is she going to be okay?" Tom asked, his voice trembling, desperate. The paramedic glanced at Lily's motionless figure and then back at him. "We're doing everything we can. Just keep talking to her." Tom's heart sank, but he couldn't let that show. "Lily, remember the ice cream we had? You picked the biggest scoop, as always. You said you wanted to save some for the next day. There's still more left in the freezer waiting for you." Each word felt like a lifeline in a stormy sea. He wanted her to hear him. He wanted her to know she was loved. "Keep talking, Tom. You're doing great." Another paramedic encouraged him as they maneuvered through the streets, the flashing lights cutting through the darkness like hope breaking through despair. The sirens howled, and with them, Tom's thoughts spiraled. Memories flooded in. Lily's laughter, her little dances in the living room, the way her eyes sparkled when she was curious about the world. It was all too vivid, and that made the stillness in the ambulance feel like a tragedy in motion. Then, his mind wandered to Grandma's words. Hope was their family's strength. In that moment of fear, Tom held tightly to those words. They had been the bedrock of their family, always believing in miracles. "Lily, I know you're in there. I know you can hear me. Just come back to us. We need you," he said, voice stronger, pulling as much faith from deep within as he could muster. When they arrived at the hospital, chaos erupted around them. Nurses and doctors swarmed as the ambulance doors opened, and Tom felt both a sense of relief and overwhelming dread. They rushed Lily onto a gurney, and without hesitating, Tom tried to cling to her side. "Sir, you need to step back," a nurse instructed, gently yet firmly. "No, please. I can't just let her go," he protested. But he found himself ushered aside as the medical team worked swiftly. They moved with a sense of urgency that made his heart race again. In the hallway, Tom was met by Grandma, her eyes wide with fear but resolute. "What's happening?" she pleaded, grasping his arm tightly. "They're working on her." "I don't know." His voice broke as he struggled for words against the sob rising in his throat. Grandma squeezed his arm. "We've got to believe. We must keep the faith. She's not just a little girl, she's our fighter." Gathering a small group of concerned family and friends who had rushed to the hospital, Tom formed a circle, their hands joined together in solidarity. "Pray with me," he said, his voice breaking but firm. "Pray for her strength. For the love that surrounds her." The group began to murmur thoughts, a chorus of hope spilling into the room. But deep down, doubt felt like a shadow lurking close behind. Could they truly save her when the odds seemed to stack higher and higher against them? But in that shared moment, a flicker of something began to take root in Tom's heart. Was it faith? Was it sheer defiance against despair? He couldn't tell yet. All he knew was that every prayer, every word, was like an anchor holding him steady against the storm. As they waited in the sterile silence of the hospital corridor, a rush of footsteps approached from behind. Tom turned, his breath catching, the looming weight of uncertainty crashing over him once more. "Tom." We need to talk to you. A doctor, breath steamy with urgency, appeared, the look on their face sending shivers coursing through his body. What did they want? What could they possibly say that would change everything? And in that moment, Tom feared the answers would either shatter his world or offer the hope he so desperately clung to. The doctor approached, uncertainty dancing in their eyes. Tom, we need to discuss Lily's condition. Tom's heart dropped. He felt the world tilt on its axis, every moment before frozen in time. Around him, the small group held their breaths, and he felt their shared anxiety, like a thick fog closing in. Is she? Tom couldn't finish the question, his voice trailing off. The doctor swallowed hard, gathering thoughts before continuing. Lily suffered a significant trauma. We're examining the internal injuries, but they hesitated, choosing words carefully. It's critical we act quickly to stabilize her. What does that mean? Is there a chance? The words felt like shards in his throat. The doctor locked eyes with him. We'll do everything possible. However, we need your consent for surgery to control the internal bleeding. Tom's thoughts spiraled, clashing memories threatening to suffocate him. He'd never imagined needing to make life-altering decisions for her at such a young age. And yet here he stood, on the precipice of hope and despair. Tom, Grandma stepped closer, her voice soft yet steady. You need to think about what she would want. She's strong. The doctor nodded, as if validating Grandma's faith. She is a fighter. But we need to act fast. What if something goes wrong? Tom's voice trembled as terror clawed at his insides. That's always a possibility, the doctor admitted. But the alternative, no. Tom's emotions broke free. I want to think like that. Then you need to trust us, the doctor said gently, a weight of sincerity in their voice. We need to know. She's fighting for her life, but it becomes our fight too. Tom felt the eyes of his family on him, their silent support wrapped around him like an invisible embrace. He glanced at Grandma, and in her gaze, he recognized the fierce determination of their family legacy. They had always held on to hope, they had always fought together. Okay, he whispered, his voice stronger now as he took a deep, shaky breath. Do whatever it takes. The doctor nodded, relief easing the tension in their shoulders. We'll take her into surgery. You'll have to wait here. As the doctor turned to leave, Tom grabbed their arm. Wait. When can I see her again? The doctor paused, considering the question. After the surgery, when she is stable. But take heart, we'll come back to update you as soon as we can. Tom nodded, but inwardly, he felt a turmoil of emotions. He realized how desperately he needed to believe, to hold on to every fraction of hope he could muster. His heart screamed for Lily to be strong, just like Grandma had said. That he returned to the group, his eyes bright with tears he fought to hold back. She's going into surgery. The collective sigh of relief and prayers filled the air, wrapping around them like a cocoon. Tom's heart raced with both fear and determination. Shortly after, their hands still linked, Tom led everyone into a space where they could truly devote themselves to their prayer. His own, no longer mere words, turned into a vivid plea. Please, Lily, fight. We need you back. I can't lose you. Just as they had started to gather their strength in the room, another figure approached them, a nurse this time, her expression softer than clinical urgency. Excuse me, Tom? Can we have a word? Her tone instantly piqued his concern. This time, Tom's heart sank lower, a freckling of presentiment stirring inside him. Did they want to offer news, or had the tides shifted one more time? Standing there, the world shifted yet again. Would this be a moment of change or more heartbreak? His mind raced. Each second felt like an eternity, and he held tightly to Grandma's mantra. Lily was a fighter. They would believe, but at what cost? Tom felt the Nurse South presence close in like a whisper, the weight of her request hanging in the air. He took a breath, trying to steady his nerves, but panic threatened to consume him. Is it about Lily? He asked, the words catching painfully in his throat. The nurse nodded, her eyes reflecting a mixture of empathy and urgency. "Yes, can we step outside for a moment?" Tom exchanged worried glances with Grandma and the others, but he could see their encouragement, a silent nod that he needed to be the one to go. He squeezed Grandma's hand and stood, his heart thudding heavily in his chest as he followed the nurse down the sterile hallway. Bright fluorescent lights hummed overhead, each sound echoing in the silence of his mind. He was engulfed in the sterile scent of antiseptic, making his throat tighten. Where was Lily now? Was she in pain? The nurse led him to a small waiting area, its walls adorned with encouraging posters and pictures of smiling patients. It felt out of place in the gravity of the moment. She motioned for him to sit. "Your sister is a brave girl," she began, her voice steady yet warm. "The surgery is underway, and the doctors have just started. They're addressing the bleeding, and while there are risks, we're hopeful." Tom couldn't help but feel a glimmer of light piercing the overwhelming darkness. Hopeful? That means? It means we're doing everything possible. But, she hesitated, her gaze softening, "we want to ensure you're prepared for anything. It's very serious, Tom. The recovery will be tough." "I expected that," he replied, the words barely more than a whisper. I need her to come back. She can't leave us. We need her." The nurse reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I understand. You're not alone in this. Your family is here for support. And Lily can draw strength from that. She'll feel your love." Tom nodded, trying to absorb her words. But even as she spoke, doubt swirled deep within him. What if they lost her? What if this was it? "I'm scared," he admitted, his voice shaking. "What if I can't do enough for her?" "Lily sees you as her strength," the nurse replied gently. "She knows you're fighting for her. Embrace that. You'll be able to tell her everything you did to support her once she wakes up." Tom's heart ached, tightening at the thought of Lily waking up alone, disoriented and afraid. Would she be scared? Would she remember the accident? He imagined her lying there, wondering why she couldn't feel the warmth of their family surrounding her. As if sensing his turmoil, the nurse continued, "You'll need to stay strong for her. You're her anchor. And remember, to truly help her, you have to take care of yourself too." Her words lodged deeply within him, a revelation blooming amid the despair. Could he be both her anchor and a survivor in this storm? Suddenly, a commotion sounded down the hall, pulling both of their attentions. A doctor rushed past them, a look of urgency on their face, and a deeper sense of dread washed over Tom. "What's happening?" he demanded, panic rising in his chest. The nurse looked up, her eyes wide. "I don't know." Before she could finish, the doctor reappeared, their features taut with concern. "Tom," they began, and at that moment, every thread of hope unraveled, leaving him hanging by the barest wire, ready to snap. His whole world hung in the balance as he braced himself for whatever was about to be said. Would he be able to withstand the truth? "Tom," the doctor's voice was steady, but it carried a weight that pressed down like lead. "We need to discuss Lily's condition." Tom felt every muscle in his body tense, as if preparing for impact. He was terrified of what might come next. "Is she?" he choked out, unable to finish the sentence. His heart raced furiously, pounding against his ribs. "Lily is in critical condition," the doctor said, their eyes searching Tom's for understanding. "We successfully stopped the bleeding, but she has suffered significant trauma. The next 24 hours are crucial." 24 hours? Tom repeated, his voice barely audible. "What do you mean? Is she going to be okay?" The doctor hesitated, glancing back down the hallway. "There are many variables we're monitoring. It's difficult to predict her outcome. It depends on her response to treatment and her resilience. She's a fighter." Fighter. The word echoed in Tom's mind, but all he felt was the crushing weight of despair. He pictured Lily, her lively spirit replaced by sterile wires and machines. Each beat of the monitor seemed to tally his fears as they spiraled out of control. What if she doesn't make it? he whispered, terrified to give voice to the thought. We can't predict the future. What we can do is focus on supporting her and each other. She needs you now more than ever, the doctor replied, their voice steady, yet filled with compassion. Tom nodded, though inside he felt lost. His whole world felt like it was collapsing. Guilt twisted inside him. Was it his fault? If only he had been there. If only he had watched her more closely. He shut his eyes, hoping to keep the tears at bay, but the image of Lily faded in and out of his mind, her laughter, her bright smile, her unwavering belief in him. She had always been the strong one, the adventurous spirit, and now here he was, playing the role of her protector, yet feeling so helpless. The nurse squeezed his shoulder gently, bringing him back to reality. You have to be her strength, Tom. She needs you in her corner. Staying here will give her the reassurance she needs. You can talk to her, sing to her. Share your hopes, tell her how much she means to you. Gradually, a flicker of determination ignited in Tom's heart. He would be there for her, just like she had always been there for him. He wouldn't let fear overtake him. He thought back to all the times they had supported each other. He spoke carefully, as if revealing a treasured secret. I'll be strong for her. I promise. The nurse smiled softly, her warmth wrapping around him like a blanket. That's the spirit. And remember to breathe, Tom. You're allowed to be scared, but you're also allowed to hope. He nodded, feeling the resolve slowly swell within him. Straightening up, he wiped his tears and cleared his throat. He wouldn't let this be the end. As they prepared to head back to Lily's room, Tom felt a surge of energy. He took in a deep breath, holding on to the glimmer of hope that had begun to grow. But just as they began to walk, the doctor turned back to him, their expressions shifting to something more serious. Tom, I need you to understand that there are complications we may encounter. If anything goes wrong, we'll have to make decisions quickly. Wait, Tom said, suddenly gripped by a new kind of dread. Decisions? What do you mean? His heart sank again, a heavy pit forming in his stomach. The doctor's expression was somber, filled with an urgency that set off alarms in his mind. If her condition worsens, we may need your input on treatment options. It's important you're ready for that. It could come faster than we expect. Tom's breath quickened, and he felt anchored in a storm, caught between hope and fear. What kind of decisions? He swallowed hard, clenching his fists at his sides, a newfound anxiety gnawing at him. He had to prepare for anything, but how? As they moved back down the hallway, uncertainty wrapped around him like a dark cloud. The struggle for hope had only just begun, and he was bracing for whatever was to come next. Tom felt like he was in the eye of a storm, standing still while chaos swirled around him. He clenched his hands into fists, fighting back the tremors that threatened to seize him. His heart raced, almost to the point of bursting, with every pulse of uncertainty. Would Lily pull through? Could they overcome the odds together? As the doctors moved past him, their expressions serious and focused, hope and dread tangled together in his chest like vines. He remembered Grandma's words, the strength they held. For Lily's sake, he had to be that anchor. When they reached her room, Tom stepped inside. It was antiseptic and sterile, yet filled with the warmth of love waiting to fill the gaps. The beeping machines echoed softly, like a heartbeat in the dim lights. And there she was, his little girl, lying still, almost ghost-like, but he felt the vibrant spirit still fighting within her. Tears stung his eyes as he leaned close, brushing her hair off her forehead. Lily, he whispered, forcing himself to hold her hand, the chill of her skin igniting a flare of urgency within him. It's Dad. I'm right here with you. You're not alone. He felt powerless, yet in that moment, he knew he could give his strength, his hopes, his love. You have to fight, sweetheart. You're the toughest girl I know. You can do this. Remember our ice cream fight last month? You beat me fair and square. As he spoke, he recalled the laughter they had shared, the sweetness of those simple days, envisioning her brightly colored ice cream cone and contagious laughter. The minutes turned into hours, each second feeling like a lifetime of waiting. Friends and family trickled in, filling the sterile room with warmth, a tapestry of support and love. They shared stories, their voices soft, as if wrapping their words around Lily like a protective blanket. Each heart full in hope, casting aside the judgment that had once hung thick in the air like smoke. Tom. Charlie's voice broke through an anxious moment, urgency behind his eyes. The doctor was approaching. Tom's heart sank again. What now? He thought, battling that familiar dread creeping back in. The doctor entered the room, their stature confident but softened by empathy. Tom, we need to talk about Lily, they said, casting a glance over at the small girl laying there. Her condition is stable, but we are keeping a close watch. We want to make sure to continue monitoring the situation actively. Hope flickered inside Tom's chest. What does that mean? The doctor took a deep breath. It means she's in a fighting position, but there are checks we need to run regularly. If anything changes, if there's an elevation in blood pressure or any signs of distress, we'll action as needed. Tom nodded, allowing the words to settle. It wasn't a definite yes, but it wasn't a no either. They had a point to hold on to, a reason to keep faith. Thank you, he managed to say, his voice thick with the weight of a pendulum's swing, from fear to hope and back again. As the hours went by, shadows slowly began to lift. Friends stayed by his side, and the laughter that had once seemed lost echoed back into their world. Sharing their burdens became a balm that soothed the edges of their raw emotions. Each story, each shared laugh, was a thread weaving them back together. Later that night, with Grandma sitting beside him, he held Lily's small hand in his, squeezing it gently. Stay strong, baby, he murmured. We're here because we love you always. And in that moment, something shifted. It was subtle but profound, the energy of the room charged with collective hope. Maybe their vulnerabilities brought them closer. Maybe this trial was about more than just saving Lily, it was about finding a home together as a family, facing their heartaches as a whole. Suddenly, a soft humming broke the stillness. It came from Lily. A fragile sound, but unmistakably hers. Tom's heart rocked with wonder. She was fighting back, battling her way to the surface. Lily? He whispered, pressing closer, and her eyelids fluttered. Dad? A tiny, tentative voice broke through the haze. And hope erupted like fireworks inside him, joy flooding every corner of his heart. I can't. What happened? You got a little lost, but we found you, Tom said, tears streaming freely now. You're safe. Just rest. We're all here, honey. Lily blinked, her gaze drifting through the room, the soft warmth of love hanging in the air. For the first time in weeks, he saw that glimmer of her spirited smile illuminating her pale cheeks, full of faith returning. It was all he needed to pull him from the depths, to light the way through the darkest moments. Tom leaned down, unable to hold back the sobs building deep inside. You're our hero, Lily. Moments blended together, filled with laughter and relief, as the family began rebuilding what had once been lost. With time, Lily continued to heal, and Tom discovered the strength too, together weaving their arms into bonds of compassion and understanding. The community that had once teetered on the brink now thrived, united in ways that showcased the best of humanity. Look at how far we've come, he said, heart swelling with pride and gratitude. As they pushed through the hardest days, uncertainties were replaced with resilience. Every hurdle they surmounted, every shared moment created, solidified their bond, creating a mosaic of support, love, and healing. Remember, it's all about family, Grandma smiled, her eyes glistening with joy. Tom nodded, reflecting on the lessons learned. They survived as one because in the end, love always conquers all. And that was the promise he would carry with him. A promise painted with bright colors, a story that would bloom in their hearts forever. As the sun rose outside the hospital, painting the walls in a warm glow, Tom held Lily tightly, knowing they were finally home. Now, dear friends, this is the moment you've been waiting for. You need to subscribe now to not miss our next exclusive stories that will inspire your hearts. Leave a like right now to help fuel the algorithm that brings hope to more people like us. Comment your feelings about this amazing transformation. Tell us how it resonated with you. Share your love and support. And wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this uplifting tale. Only true fans understand the power of support and community. Together, we can continue to share stories that matter.